Hello everyone, how's it going? And welcome to our first look at Kindred. Kindred is a new champion that is coming out to Wild Rift in about a week's time. And Kindred is the first traditional marksman jungler that we're going to be getting into the game. Yes, we have champions like Samira and Neela that can play in the jungle as well, but this is the first traditional one that's coming over from PC League of Legends into Wild Rift. As you can tell, I am on the Chinese PBE. I still don't have access yet, unfortunately, to the English version of the PBE. Hopefully, that's something that I can get access to in the future whilst Riot sorts out a few bugs and a few problems with it. But I'm really excited to show you all Kindred. We're going to be going through all the abilities, what the build is going to be when Kindred releases, so then you can all get a head start. Now, even though these abilities and also the passive are going to be in a different language, I do have the translated version on screen. You can also take a look at the PC League versions as well. But what I've done is I've kind of compared these versions of the abilities to the PC League versions, and I've got all the differences for you as well, so you can have a look and we can have a look together to see what Kindred is all about. First up, let's take a look at Kindred's passive, which is Mark of the Kindred. So how this passive works is that Kindred can gain stacks every single time that Kindred kills a marked champion or a marked jungle monster. These marks that Kindred gets on these jungle monsters will be able to take 20% additional damage, which is quite nice. As I mentioned, there's two ways in which you can get Kindred's marks. You either mark them by using the additional button icon, which I'll show you in just a second, or by jungle monsters. Now, the way you get marks on jungle monsters is on the enemy jungle camp. So Kindred is very reliant on invading the enemy jungle. Now, this is not really a popular thing to do in Wild Rift because the map is so small and champions can rotate very, very quickly, but it's so vital to keep your eye on the minimap to see where the next mark for Kindred is going to be. You can see here that the automatic refresh, the mark applied to a monster, is automatically refreshed every 30 seconds. In PC League of Legends, this is every 45 seconds. So with Kindred, if you can actually utilize these stacks to perfection, then you'll be able to get more stacks over the game compared to like PC League of Legends, which is kind of no surprise because the game time of Wild Rift is a lot shorter than League of Legends. Now, these marks that you can see on the minimap can also be seen by the enemy team as well. So they're going to know what mark that you're going to go towards. So you need to be extremely careful when you're invading with Kindred, because not only can you see the mark and your team can see the mark, but also the enemy team can see the mark as well. So if the jungler goes over to your mark, the enemy jungler goes over to your mark, takes that jungle camp away, then you're going to have to wait another 30 seconds until that mark comes up again. And then with these marks, Kindred is going to be able to gain additional stats and additional bonuses throughout the game. So after obtaining 3 marks, the attack distance will be increased by 75. So the attack range is going to be increased by 75. And also every 3 stacks after this, your attack range is also going to be increased every single time. So you can get an incredibly great amount of attack range, kind of similar to Senna in a way with her stacks. Every single time that she gains stacks, she gains attack range. Exactly the same with Kindred. And then we have also a bunch of other things as well, like the Dance of Arrows, Kindred's first ability, the attack speed increase, it gets additional as well depending on your stacks. Wolf Frenzy, the second ability, you can deal more damage based on how many stacks you have, and also the third ability as well. Again, you can deal more damage based on how many stacks you have. So this is vital, and I'll show you in game what it looks like. So you can see on the minimap here, if you take a look at the minimap in the top left hand corner, this scuttle crab is currently marked. You can see a little mark that just popped up, but you can also see it on the minimap as well, where I'm hovering on the minimap. Hopefully you can see it. It might be a little bit small, but take a look at that. You can see that this is where Kindred mark is going to happen. So if I walk over to this mark and if I kill this scuttle crab, now these are going to spawn as soon as the scuttle crab spawns. So with Kindred, you don't actually want to do a full jungle clear and then go to the scuttle crab. It's so important to go to these scuttle crabs as soon as they spawn, which is really, really important. You can see here, I'm going to be able to do additional damage to this crab. Might take me a little while because I don't have any items or anything like that. If I quickly just take this down, smite it away, you can see there, I get a little bit of a glow and I gain a stack. And you can see the number of stacks I have at the bottom here. That is one way of getting stacks. Another way of getting stacks is by marking enemy champions. So this new icon that you get, which opens up so many possibilities for other champions like maybe Nico or Aphelios to be able to change weapons, or Nico to be able to transform into minions or monsters or anything like that, you click on this and all the champions will pop up in a bar. Then what you do is you select the champion, which I'm going to select Vayne here, and as you can see, Vayne is now marked and it has a little ring underneath her. However, the enemies are also going to see when they get marked, so you need to be extremely careful. You can see here that my little Vayne icon means that I have Vayne marked. So if I kill Vayne, which might take me a while because I don't have a lot of damage, I need to kill her relatively quickly to make sure this video doesn't last too long. But if I kill the Vayne, as you can see here, there we go. And then I get another mark. So now I get 2 marks. And you can see that you can mark an enemy champion every 50 seconds or so. So you need to make sure that you use this when you're ganking enemy lanes. You need to make sure that you mark the right enemy champions. But at the same time, you can't make it too obvious. Because if you mark them just before you're about to get ganked, then they're going to know that you are about to get ganked. So I can, again, look, I can mark the Vayne again within the next few minutes if I really want to. But as you can see, by the time I've killed the Vayne, the next mark has come up on the minimap. And this is now in the enemy jungle. So like I said, invading with Kindred is going to be so important, but also really difficult in Wild Rift. I'm really curious how this is going to work in Wild Rift because, as I mentioned before, invading is not really a thing in Wild Rifts. It's a little bit difficult because of how the game works and everything. So we'll have to see, and we'll have to see if that's going to be an interesting thing or not. As you just saw as well, you only have to kill the big chicken or the big wolf or the big raptor or anything like that. You only have to kill the big version to actually get the stack. You don't have to kill the whole camp, basically. That's a basic rundown of Kindred's passive. Might be a little bit complicated to start things off. Just like I said, the main thing is make sure you mark an enemy champion when you're looking for ganks, and make sure you always take a look at the minimap, because if I wait again for another 30 seconds, you're going to see that one of these jungle camps are now going to be marked, which will be in a few seconds. But these marks, oh, there you go, it's a scuttle crab. It's another scuttle crab. So depending on how many marks you have will depend on what actually gets marked, because the more marks you get, it's going to be things like dragons later on, Rift Herald, Barons. Like, that's the only way that you're going to get stacks later on. So it depends on how many marks you have in the game, will depend on what gets marked on the map. Anyway, that's the passive. It seems quite complicated. Like I said, the basic things, keep it on your minimap, make sure you get your marks, whether you're invading or ganking a lane, and then you just get bonus stats over time. But I wanted to go into as much detail as possible just so you can understand how it works. Okay, on to the first ability now. That passive took quite a while. First ability is Dance of Arrows. So Kindred rolls in a direction, firing an arrow for up to 3 enemies, causing physical damage, and also it's scaling as well with probably your bonus attack damage, and also increasing Kindred's attack speed by percentage for a few seconds. Now, this attack speed that you get when you use Kindred's first ability is going to scale with how many marks you have. So the more marks you have, the more attack speed you're going to get with Kindred's first ability. Now, another big thing as well is that when you use Kindred's second ability, the cooldown reduction of this ability gets reduced from 8 seconds down to 2 seconds, which is a huge difference. And that's going to be huge when you get into team fights and everything else. So I'll explain it here now. So you can see here that you can just use this ability and basically roll in any direction. You can go over walls if you want to, over this wall. You can go over pretty much any wall that you want to. But as you can see, this is an 8-second cooldown. It's quite a long time. So if I use my second ability, which as you can see has a huge area, by the way, it pretty much covers the whole lane. Once I use my second ability, if I use my first ability, then look, it's only on a 2-second cooldown. So I can use this every 2 seconds, which is going to be a lot later on. And to be fair, the mana and everything doesn't really matter. But if you use this outside the W, you can see that is only on an 8-second cooldown, which is a big difference. You know, 8 seconds compared to 2 seconds is such a huge difference. So make sure that you do this and you bear this in mind when clearing through the jungle. Also, when you get into team fights, that you use your second ability kind of before you use your first ability. You can use your first ability into your second ability, and it goes into a 2-second cooldown. So if I use my first ability and it goes into 8 seconds, I can then use my second ability, and as you can see, it reduces the cooldown down to 2 seconds. So if you want to, you can use your first ability into your second ability. It kind of depends on where you're clearing through the jungle, how you're clearing through the jungle, and what's happening in a team fight as well. It completely depends. But yeah, more attack speed you get as well will depend on how many marks you have. That is Kindred's first ability. Kindred's second ability is Wolf's Frenzy. This is where you summon the wolf that you just saw just now. So it has a passive which you're able to heal basically when you get maximum marks. This kind of works as like energized effects. So when moving and attacking, you will gain layers of hunter heroism. At 100 layers, you'll be able to auto attack and also get a little bit of healing. So you get a little bit of sustain with Kindred. This doesn't happen too often, but you get a little bit of healing. You can see here from the passive down here that you can see, like, you know, when you'll be able to get the healing and everything like that as well. That will just depend. I forgot to bring this up as well. So yeah, you have the healing. I kind of lost my train of thought there because I forgot to bring up the icon, but I kind of lost my train of thought. So yeah, you get the healing after 100 layers. The healing will help you sustain throughout the jungle and also throughout the game as well. Then it has an active. Now this active creates a circle of terrain, basically, or territory as you want to call it, and this wolf comes out and deals damage to a target that you're attacking. Whatever target you're attacking, the wolf will also attack the same target, and this wolf damage will depend on how many stacks you have, will deal a lot of damage, and again it will scale with how many marks you have with your passive. So again, pretty nice, pretty important. And also it scales with Kindred's attack speed as well. You can see the wolf's bite causes magic damage, which is equal to 40 plus 20% additional something plus 20%. But I'm pretty sure that's going to be the additional attack speed. So the more attack speed that Kindred has, the more damage you're going to get with the wolf. And again, it kind of works in synergy with the first ability. You use the first ability, you gain more attack speed. You use it inside the wolf frenzy territory, the wolf's going to do more damage because you're gaining more attack speed when you're using your first ability. You'll kind of see now how the abilities are kind of working together. So with the second ability, you can see that when you tap the ability, if you have no enemies nearby, you're not going to be able to use the ability. You can see here I'm tapping the second ability. I'm not going to be able to use it. However, you can manually use this wherever you want to. It doesn't matter where you are. So you can use this before you get into a fight, because as you can see, the territory is huge. If you have an enemy nearby, and if you tap it, then it's going to be in the middle. You can see the territory is in the middle there. You can see the wolf that's dealing more damage every single time that I get a little bit of attack speed. You see up 200 damage depending on how much attack speed I do. So it's actually pretty important that you want to try and use this territory before a fight starts. Say you can use it over a wall here, you can jump over a wall and then get started with your attacks. It kind of depends really how, you know, how it works in terms of a team fight or what's going on in a team fight, but you can use this ability manually and you don't just have to tap the ability when you're near an enemy champion. That's pretty much it for the second ability. The third ability, Mountain Dread. Oh yeah, with the second ability as well, if you do walk out of the terrain, then you basically lose out as well. You can see it goes on full cooldown, so you need to make sure when you use the ability that you put it on, that you make sure you stay inside the territory as well. Kindred's third ability, Mountain Dread. So this is where Kindred can mark an enemy champion, it will slow the enemy champion, and you'll also be able to stack up auto attacks on that same enemy champion. And the stacks, when it goes up to maximum, you'll be able to deal a huge burst of damage. You can see here, I applies a movement speed slow effect to an enemy for 1 second. Within 4 seconds after targeting that champion, the third attack will lead the wolf spirit to pounce onto the target. Now you only have 4 seconds from when you use this ability to be able to deal the extra damage. If you kind of use the ability and then you don't attack them afterwards, then it's just wasted. You're wasting this ability. You need to make sure when you use this ability that you're auto attacking afterwards and you're using your abilities afterwards. So important to make sure you use that. Obviously the wolf spirit's attack will also cause additional physical damage to enemies as well, and the wolf spirit pounce can cause up to 300 damage to monsters and everything in the jungle. And also this can critically strike as well, so your third ability can critically strike. So your third ability, like I mentioned, if I focus this target dummy here, if I leave it like this and if I don't attack this target dummy, after a few seconds you can see it's wasted. There's nothing else that's going to happen to it. So you need to make sure that when you use this ability that you're auto attacking the same. So 1, 2 and 3, and you can see the third auto attack is when a wolf comes out and you deal a lot of damage, kind of like Kraken Slayer in a way. 3 auto attacks, or with Kraken Slayer it's 2 auto attacks, and the third auto attack is going to be empowered. So 1, 2 and 3, which is exactly the same as Kraken. 3 auto attacks, and then you get the empowered attack. But again, it's really important that you make sure that you use this ability when you know that you're going to attack the same champion a few times. So when you're ganking, when you want to slow enemy champions or anything like that. And lastly, we have the ultimate. Now, the ultimate doesn't look as powerful as what it is on PC League of Legends. The area is not that big. The duration and everything is not that big as well. And I'll explain to you now as well. So the ultimate is Lamb's Respite. So this is the Kindred ultimate, where you put like a field down on the floor. This will then stop enemy champions and also allied champions from dying. And then after a few seconds, when it stops them from dying, it also heals you back up. So it can keep your allies alive, but also it can keep your enemies alive. So you need to make sure that you use this ability at the right time. But as you can see, the sheep spirit, I don't know why it's called sheep spirit, places the ground under his feet for 3 seconds. Now this duration is 3 seconds, whereas PC League of Legends, it's 4 seconds that it lasts for. So again, kind of depending on the situation of the game. Prevented any unit within it from dying. When the health value drops to 10%, the units within this blessing range will not receive any damage or healing effects. That means you are going to prevent enemy champions from dying. Now, I'm not too sure actually how this works on Baron and also Dragon in Wild Rift, because I know in League of Legends you can also use this on Baron and Dragon, and you'll be able to keep Baron and Dragon alive. So this can cause for so many cool steals and so many cool moments with Kindred when it comes to these major objectives. So when the blessing ends, as you can see, all units within it recover 350 health, and the unit itself will also recover an additional 150 health, which is obviously ourselves. And this skill does not work on buildings. So it doesn't work on buildings, but I'm curious to see if it actually works on you know, on the dragon and everything as well, which I do not have probably enough damage to kill this Elder Drake, so we'll leave it for now. I mean, does it work on Scuttle Crab? I'm curious. I don't know if it will actually work on Scuttle Crab or not. Let's see. I don't think it'll work on Scuttle Crab. Shall we have a look? Oh, it does work on Scuttle Crab. Okay, wow, that's even more interesting. So there you go. You exactly saw what the ability does there and what the ultimate does. So what the ultimate does is it stops you from killing a enemy champion, an allied champion, or even a jungle camp as well. So this can work on dragons, on barons, and everything else. So say, for example, the baron buff goes low on HP, you use the ultimate, and then you have to time the smite when the 3 seconds are up. As soon as the 3 seconds are up, you have to count in your head or look at the timer at the bottom and then use the smite straight afterwards to make sure that you can secure it. So there you go. Really cool. I really like this ultimate. You can't actually decide where this ultimate goes. This ultimate always goes underneath Kindred. Wherever you're standing, wherever you're going, the ultimate will always cast underneath Kindred. You can't aim this anywhere. You can't move it anywhere. It always goes underneath Kindred. So say, for example, you need to save your mid laner that's here. I can't just move the ultimate and place it on an allied champion like Kale's ultimate. I have to actually dash to them and then use the ultimate to actually kind of keep them alive. Then hopefully enemy champions will be like this and they'll just be outside of range to deal a bit of damage. Anyway, that's all of Kindred's abilities in terms of like I said, a basic rundown. In terms of combos, there's not anything too crazy in terms of combos, to be fair. I think the big thing is that if you're in range, you can use your third ability to start off with. If you're in range, you use third ability into second ability, and then, like, you know, use your first ability and everything else. Just make sure with Kindred that when you use your first ability that you're within like the range of your second ability, or that you use it straight afterwards as well. So all it is just combining all these abilities, your third ability, your second ability, and also your first ability. I mean, if you want to, if you're really far at range, you can use your second ability and then use your first ability to get into range of your third ability and then deal that extra bit of damage with the 3 auto attacks. That's another way to do it as well. You can see here, everyone that's golden is in threshold in the ultimate as well, so pretty cool. But yeah, combos not really too much. In terms of leveling order, I don't think there's going to be a lot of surprises, to be honest with you. I'm actually, maybe at the start it might be a bit of a surprise for you. I need to see how to reset level. There we go. So when you're clearing through the jungle, the first ability you actually want to go for is your second ability. The reason why you go for your second ability is that your second ability does bonus damage to jungle camps. So you know, being able to get the bonus damage to jungle camps is going to be really, really huge. So at level 1, you go for your second ability. At level 2, you then go for your first ability, because again, this is going to reduce the cooldown to 2% when you use your second ability and your first ability at the same time. So again, just additional damage in the jungle, then making sure you have all abilities available. With your third ability, you then want to make sure that you max your first ability, because maxing your first ability is going to be really, really big for the extra damage. Then go for your third ability and then go for your second ability. Reason why you go for your second ability last is that it doesn't do too much damage to to enemy champions. It mainly does the additional damage to jungle camps, so as long as you have 1 point in it to kill the jungle camps quicker, then the extra damage that you get from your first ability and also your third ability is more important than your second ability. Now, as for the build is going to be, I'm not too sure how the build is going to work. There are many different ways that you can build Kindred. You can build Kindred with crit. You can build him as a bruiser if you really want to as well. There are two different ways here, crit or bruiser. I have this build. I think this is going to be the build, but again, this might change depending on, you know, his actual numbers when he gets released. Obviously, this is only on PBE and everything else as well. I do think that Gluttonous Greaves is going to be the best boots without a doubt. I don't think you need the extra attack speed or anything from Berserker Greaves. I think the Gluttonous Greaves boots are going to be really, really good for the Omnivamp and the extra attack damage that you get, because you get attack speed from your first ability. Obviously, Bloodthirster is a very, very strong first item. Again, it kind of depends. Trinity Force is another incredibly powerful item for Kindred, especially because of the Sheen effect, the extra movement speed that you get from the new Valor passive now, which was the Rage passive before. This can also be really good. So I can also see the build being something like this, and your last item being situational. I can see the build being something like this, which kind of looks like a Zeri build. Bloodthirster into Trinity Force, into Mortal Reminder, Infinity Edge. I can't really think of any other crit items that you really want to go with Kindred. Magnetic Blaster can also be pretty good to get the extra attack range, but you already have extra attack range already with the passive. SS Reaver could be good. You don't really need the Mana Siphon passive though to actually restore mana. I don't think it's that good. Solari Charge Blade could be pretty good because your first ability is only on a 2-second cooldown. But other than that, your other two abilities are on quite a long cooldown, so you're kind of reliant on making sure that you stay within range of your territory to keep on jumping around with your first ability. Other than that, there's not really a lot of crit items. Navori could be pretty good. I think Navori could be a really good item. Lowers the cooldown when you crit on your second ability and your third ability especially, which could be really, really good. I'll probably have to give that a test. Stormrazor, I don't think so. Obviously, Collector, big no as well. So it'd be interesting. I mean, maybe the last item is like Navori, and maybe you go something like this instead. And then maybe you go for like Infinity Edge as your last item, or something like this maybe. You know, you don't have that much attack speed with this build. Actually, no, to be fair, I still think you need probably one attack speed item. So maybe it's something like this, or something like this maybe. Like I said, I'm not too sure. There are loads of items that you can go with Kindred. Kraken Slayer is going to be really, really amazing with Kindred. Because the extra attack speed that you get, all the auto attacks that you deal, Kindred is always based on the auto attacks, especially if you proc Kraken Slayer and your third ability bonus damage at the same time. It's going to be a huge amount of burst damage. Conqueror can also be good. That's another option as well. Again, it will have to do with testing when Kindred comes out. Brutal, obviously, for the extra auto attack damage. Giant Slayer, Legend Alacrity, no surprise there. Overgrowth for the extra damage. I think in terms of other runes, there's not a lot of options. I was thinking maybe Sudden Impact could be pretty good, but again, it kind of depends on that 2-second cooldown. But getting an extra bit of armor pen with Sudden Impact could be pretty good. Other than that, not really too much else. That's why I just went for Overgrowth, so we can just get more stuck in health, so we could be a little bit more tankier. You know, you can go for like Bone Plating if you want to as well. But that's pretty much everything for Kindred. I did not think this video would last that long, but I wanted to go into as much detail with Kindred as possible because it is a new champion. A lot of players will not understand how to play Kindred when Kindred comes out. So yeah, let me know what you think of Kindred down in the comments. Again, I wanted to get this video out before Kindred gets released, so then we know kind of how Kindred works. You can get a head start with Kindred as well, so when you're playing it in your ranked games, you can hopefully win some games with Kindred. Yeah, really excited for Kindred's release. Again, it opens up a whole heap of possibilities of other champions that might be coming out in the future for Wild Rift. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.